let me tell you something. The battlefield isn't out there. It's in here. It's not what they said, not what they did, not how they walked away, not how they ignored your kindness. It's what you told yourself afterward that did the real damage. That inner conversation you had when the door closed, that silent storm inside your head when the phone didn't ring. You've been rehearsing wounds, replaying offenses, and relieving moments that you should have released a long time ago. You keep telling yourself, they don't respect me, and now you're mad. You keep telling yourself, they're always trying, and now your chest is tight. You keep saying, they're trying to make me look small, and now you're reacting like you've got something to prove. But can I say this? You will never walk in real peace until you learn how to master your internal dialogue, until you learn how to speak to yourself. Because here's the truth. It's not their behavior that breaks you. It's your interpretation of it. Some of y'all are fighting ghosts. They're already gone, but you're still mad. They moved on, but your spirit is still in the argument. They said it once, but you've repeated it 1,000 times in your own mind. Hear me? You have to stop letting the echo of other people's opinions become the voice of your truth. What does God say about you? What do you believe about yourself? When the fire comes, when the insult lands, when the disrespect hits, what's your response to yourself? You can't stop people from being petty. You can't stop people from being broken. You can't even stop them from throwing shade. But what you can stop is the way you digest it. See, every time you rehearse that offense in your mind, you're feeding the flame. Every time you tell yourself they're always against me, you're watering that weed. Every time you say, I'll show them, you're handing over your power in exchange for a wound that won't heal. That's why I say, speak peace to yourself. Speak truth to yourself. When they walk out, tell yourself, God has something better. When they insult you, tell yourself, that ain't who I am. When they lie, tell yourself, truth doesn't need applause to stand. You don't need to argue. You don't need to prove your worth. You don't need to clap back or post a response. Your spirit is too expensive to spend it on cheap battles. You've got too much destiny ahead to keep getting detoured by every dog that barks on the road. And I know it's hard. I know it hurts when people you loved don't love you back. I know the sting of being overlooked, the ache of being misunderstood. But don't let that pain become your inner playlist. Don't let a temporary rejection become a permanent script. Because if the enemy can destroy you with what they did, he'll try to destroy you with what you think about what they did. And some of you are under siege, not by the enemy outside, but by the enemy within. You're so angry, not because you're weak, but because you give your thoughts permission to roam wild. You've got to take back the wheel, errors the lies, challenge the narratives, silence the noise. You've got to wake up in the morning and speak life into your own spirit. I'm not what they said. I'm not what I lost. I'm not who they walked away from, how they treat you. It's not connected to how they respond to you. It's not dependent on how they see you. You've got to stop giving people the power to set your value. They didn't create you. How can they define you? And I get it. I know what it's like to bend over backward trying to make someone love you. I know what it's like to shrink yourself to fit inside someone else's comfort zone, to keep quiet so they don't feel threatened, to dim your light so they don't feel insecure, to tolerate things that make you ache inside just so you won't be alone. But what did that ever get you but tired and empty? Let me say this plainly. You are not responsible for managing other people's emotional immaturity. You are not required to earn the right to be respected. You do not have to perform for love. You don't have to change yours. You got a life to live that's too big to be bothered by small things. And when you master your thoughts, no one can master your mood. You've been walking around with your head down, not because you're not worthy, but because somewhere along the line you believed a lie. You let someone else's brokenness define your beauty. You let someone else's silence define your value. You let someone else's insecurity start to echo as your truth. Imagine that's in a landscape of the earth. And I came to break that lie right now. Let me ask you something. Why do you keep letting people who don't even love themselves tell you how to feel about you? Why do you keep waiting on validation from people who couldn't even recognize your worth if it sat in their lap? Can I tell you something that will free your soul? I am fearfully and wonderfully made. I am chosen. I am anointed. I am healed. You got to anchor yourself in truth, because life is going to come for your peace. People are going to come for your joy. But when you've trained your mind to sit still in the presence of chaos, when your thoughts are guarded and your heart is rooted, you can walk through the fire and not be burned. So don't tell me you can't do it. Don't tell me you can't forgive. Don't tell me you can't move on. Don't tell me you can't let go. You can. But you got to rewire the voice in your head. You got to teach your soul how to speak peace louder than your pain. Let them say what they want. Let them act how they want. Let them be who they are. But as for you, you've got work to do. You've got purpose to fulfill. You've got a mind to renew, a left to be accepted. That's slavery, not love. That's bondage, not relationship. That's manipulation, not friendship. And hear me, if someone has a problem with you shining, then they were never meant to walk with you in the first place. You were never created to be someone else's mirror. You were created to reflect God's glory, not their insecurity. You were created to rise, not to be reduced. Some of y'all are trying to be enough for people who will never be satisfied. You keep bending and shifting and morphing, hoping that if you can just say the right thing, do the right thing, be the right kind of person, then maybe they'll stay. Then maybe they'll love you. Then maybe they'll see you. But let me tell you something real. It is not your job to convince someone to love what they can't recognize. If they can't see you, it's not your failure, that's their blindness. If they can't handle you, that's not your flaw, that's their limitation. Don't you dare make yourself smaller so somebody else can feel big. You don't owe anyone an explanation for being who you are. You don't need to apologize for your strength. You don't need to hide your calling, your gift, your light, your voice, just so someone insecure won't feel exposed. You were born to stand out, not to blend in. You were born to disrupt, not to disappear. And here's where the real freedom comes: when you stop trying to extract your value from external behavior. When you finally understand that how they treat you is not a reflection of who you are, it's a reflection of where they are. Hurt people, if you let their brokenness bleed on you, you'll start to think you're the one who's cut. But you're not. You're whole. Even if they never say thank you, even if they never apologize, even if they never show up, even if they never recognize your worth, you are still who you are. Their inability to honor you doesn't diminish your anointing. Their refusal to love you right doesn't cancel your identity. You are still chosen, still loved, still called, still enough. And once you know that, really know that, you stop reacting. You stop chasing closure. You stop needing their validation. You stop arguing to prove a point. You stop being triggered every time someone treats you poorly, because now you realize, oh, wait a minute. You don't get to define me. Your opinion is not a prophecy. Your behavior is not my mirror. Be whole. It's already inside of you. And when you know who you are, nobody else gets to rewrite your value. There comes a moment in your life where you have to decide, am I going to keep reacting to everything that tries to pull me out of character? Or am I going to rise to the level of who I was created to be? Because every day you wake up, there's going to be something that tries to bait you. A look, a comment, a lie, a disrespect. Something is always waiting to test your patience, to press your buttons, to get under your skin. But hear me, it's not the bait that defines you, it's your response. You don't have to take the bait. Some of you have been living your whole life reacting. And when you live reactive, you give your power away. One wrong word and now you're in a rage. One disrespectful tone and now your peace is gone. Inconsistency is not my truth. So you can roll your eyes. You can ignore my call. You can leave the text on red. You can walk away without explanation. That's fine. That's your choice. But I won't be moved. I won't beg. I won't break. I won't bend to win back someone who was never built to walk with where I'm going. I've outgrown the need to be liked by people who don't like themselves. Because when I finally detach my worth from your behavior, I found my freedom. When I stopped needing your praise, I found my peace. When I stopped expecting you to feel what only God can feel, I found my power. You want to never be bothered by people again? Then settle this in your spirit. You are already enough. You don't need their validation. You don't need their applause. You don't need their presence. Everything you need to. One person cuts you off in traffic and your whole day is ruined. That's not power. That's emotional slavery. And it's time to break free. See, the enemy doesn't have to destroy you if he can just distract you. He doesn't have to take your destiny if he can just keep you defending your ego. Some of you are so caught up trying to prove a point, trying to get your lick back, trying to make sure nobody plays with you, that you've forgotten you were never meant to fight every battle. Every argument is not yours to answer. Every offense is not yours to carry. Every attack is not worthy of your energy. Sometimes the greatest show of strength is silence. Sometimes the most powerful move is to keep your peace while everything around you is trying to shake you. You know why that bothers you so much? Because you haven't yet learned how to stand in your identity when someone challenges your image. You haven't settled within yourself that who you are is not up for debate. So every time someone questions you, every time they slight you, every time they minimize you, you feel the need to correct it, to clap back, to make it known that you're not the one. But listen, when you truly know who you are, you don't have to prove it. Let them talk. Let them assume. Let them twist your name. Let them walk away. You're not obligated to chase people who don't value peace. And you're not called to explain yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you. Some of you are in a constant fight because you haven't realized your peace is more important than your pride. You're still trying to win arguments that don't matter. You're still trying to prove things to people who have no impact on your purpose. You're still carrying offenses from people who aren't even thinking about what they did to you. But while you're holding on to what happened, you're letting go of your joy. Can I tell you something? You don't have time to be offended. You don't have time to be petty. You don't have time to waste another day upset over people who don't even have access to where you're going. You have purpose. You have assignment. You have work to do. And the enemy knows if he can get you stuck in emotional cycles, you'll never move forward in spiritual progress. So what do? You stop letting people rent space in your mind. You stop replaying the moment. You stop replaying the moment. You stop needing to fix what they think. And you start protecting your peace like it's your most valuable posse, because it is. Peace is not passive. Peace is not weak. Peace is power under control. Peace says, I see what you're doing, but I'm not coming down there. I hear what you're saying, but I'm not going to match your energy. I feel the sting, but I choose not to strike. That's real power. They expect you to be loud. They expect you to snap. They expect you to fight back. But what confuses the enemy is when you calm. What confounds your critics is when you don't move. What silences your haters is when you stay in peace. You don't owe everyone a reaction. Your silence doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're wise. It means you've learned that sometimes peace is more productive than being right. That sometimes letting it go is stronger than getting them back. That sometimes maturity is walking away from the fire instead of feeding it. So the next time someone disrespects you, ask yourself, does this deserve my peace? The next time they lie on you, ask yourself, is my purpose worth more than this moment? The next time they try to stir the pot, ask yourself, is this worth stepping down from the place God raised me to? The truth is, not every battle is sent to break you. Some battles are sent to test you, to see if you're still controlled by your emotions, to see if you've matured beyond needing revenge, to see if you can sit at the table while the enemy watches and still not lose your composure. If you want to walk in true peace, you have to be willing to disappoint people who want drama. You have to be okay with being misunderstood. You have to be willing to say, I'm not going to respond, not because I'm afraid, but because you've got to know when to fight and when to leave it in God's hands. And sometimes the greatest thing you can do is nothing. Just breathe. Just be still. Just smile and move on. Because when your peace is unshaken, your power is undeniable. And when you stop reacting to everything, you start ruling over everything. You keep thinking that if you could just get rid of the toxic people, if you could just escape the drama, if you could just avoid the disrespect, then maybe you'd have peace. Maybe then you'd stop getting angry. Maybe then you wouldn't be so bothered all the time. But let me ask you something. What if the storm isn't around you? What if it's inside you? What if the chaos that keeps shaking you is not in what they say or do, but in what you haven't yet healed? See, there's something powerful that happens when you realize that your healing is not their responsibility, that your peace is not waiting on their apology, that your freedom is not tied to their behavior. There comes a point when you stop blaming your anger on the people around you and start taking ownership of what's been